Hello. This week's Torah portion, Chukkat, begins with a very mysterious commandment, the red heifer, or red cow, in Hebrew, para aduma. Let us begin with some relevant information. When you touch a corpse, you become tameh, or impure. That by itself is understandable, to make the point that death is something to be feared and avoided, not something to look forward to, even to get the benefits of the world to come. However, the word impure is too pejorative a translation for tameh. The word means not allowed to serve as a conduit for God's manifestation, such as entering the temple or eating sacrificial foods. There is no injunction in Judaism never to become tameh. In fact, one can become impure by performing the mitzvah of tending to a dead person, or giving birth, or having a period. No wrongdoing is implied. It is not intended as punishment. To get cleaned up, the Torah says that you must find a red heifer that is completely unblemished and never used as a beast of burden. This is an exceedingly rare animal. You must then slaughter it and burn it together with some cedar wood, some hyssop, and some crimson wool, mix its ashes with spring water, and cleanse yourself with that water on the third and seventh day after defilement. Then you must immerse in a mikvah, and then you are pronounced purified. Here's the actual text in the Torah. Quote, "The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the statute of the Torah, Chukkat HaTorah, which the Lord commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and have them take for you a perfectly red, unblemished cow, upon which no yoke was laid. Have it slaughtered outside the camp, then burns. Its ashes shall then be mixed with spring water and used for purification. Anyone touching a human corpse shall become unclean for 7 days. On the third and seventh day, he shall cleanse himself with the ashes." Unquote. There is a paradox implied in the procedure. The supervising Kohen, as well as his attendants who burn the heifer, become impure until evening after gathering the ashes. So, the red heifer purifies the impure and makes impure the pure. Let us review the laws and history of the red heifer. The Talmud, in a dedicated tractate called Para, says a red heifer is valid only if it is at least 3 years old. If younger than that, it will be called a calf, not a cow. It must be natural born, that is, not by cesarean. It must not have mated with a bull sent specifically to mate with it. However, if the bull does it on its own, it is valid. Finally, it must have no more than one hair that is not red. Only 9 heifers were ever prepared. 1 by Moses, 1 by Ezra 1,000 years later, and 7 since Ezra in the next 500 years, until the destruction of the Second Temple. Maimonides says that the 10th and last will be prepared by the Messiah. So finding one today would be a harbinger of the Messiah. The ashes could last a very long time, since large amounts of water could be added to them. No density is specified in the Torah. So after the year 70, when the temple was destroyed, some ashes were left. However, none are left now. Once impure, one could not enter the temple until purified. So, the red heifer was required for attending temple services and offering sacrifices. Since there is no temple today, there is no real problem in being impure. In fact, the rabbis have declared everybody to be impure today. One reason is that everybody is assumed to have come near a dead body, in a cemetery, a hospital, in other places, and no credible records can prove one did not. Now, many religious Jews want to rebuild the temple, but rabbis forbid Jews from visiting Temple Mount today because they are impure. So, to rebuild the temple, we must first find a red heifer to purify those who go there. Candidate red heifers were found in 1997 and 2002, but they were disqualified. Some are trying new technologies to produce a red heifer. Some cynics have argued that the rarity of red heifers gives Jews an excuse not to rebuild the temple. The reasons for the red heifer commandment are far from obvious. There are 2 types of commandments, Hukim and Mishpatim, statutes and ordinances. A statute, a hok, is a commandment whose rationale escapes us, such as kashrut. An ordinance is one whose rationale is understandable, such as prohibitions against murder or stealing. The most mysterious statute is the red heifer. Indeed, our portion begins with, "This is the statute of the Torah," as if there were only one. By saying that, the Torah hints that it is the most inexplicable commandment. The Talmud comments, quote, "Our rabbis taught statutes are commandments such as shatnez, which is not wearing garments of wool mixed with linen, halitza, the ceremony for a man's refusal to marry his dead brother's wife, purification cases of the leper and the red heifer, and the scapegoat, the goat sent away on Yom Kippur for symbolic removal of the people's sins during Temple Day." Perhaps you might think these are vain things. Therefore, the Torah adds, "I am the Lord," which means that the Lord has made it a statute and you have no right to criticize it. Unquote. In other words, why? Because God said so. That's why. King Solomon, the wisest of men, understood all the commandments except the red heifer. We read in the Midrash, quote, "King Solomon said, 'All these commandments I have fully understood, but as for the section dealing with the red heifer, I have investigated and inquired and examined, but I have been unable to fathom it. Then I said in the book of Ecclesiastes, I will get wisdom, but it was far from me." Unquote. The Midrash says that Moses asked God for the reasons. Quote, "Moses spoke before God, 'Lord of the universe, this is purification? How can ashes purify after contact with the dead?' The Holy One, blessed be He, replied, 'Moses, it is a statute, and I have made a decree, and nobody can fathom my decree. As it is written, this is the statute of the Torah.'" Rabbi Jose ben Hanina taught, "The Holy One, blessed be He, said to Moses, 'To you I shall disclose the reason for the heifer, but to anybody else it's a statute.'" Rabbi Huna added, "The things that are concealed from you in this world, you will see in the world to come, like a blind man who regains his sight." Unquote. So at least there was a human being who understood. The Midrash says it's not what it looks like. Quote, "Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's students asked him for the reasons of the red heifer. He said to them, 'By your life, it is not the dead that defiles, nor the water that purifies. The Holy One, blessed be He, merely says, I have laid down a statute, I have issued a decree. You are not allowed to transgress my decree, as it is written, this is the statute of the Torah.'" Unquote. Many questions come to mind. What reasons can there possibly be for the red heifer? Why would God give us a law that no one can understand? Who would invent such a commandment? Why ask for something so rare? Why throw in a paradox to boot? Why such an elaborate procedure? All commentators threw up their hands saying, if King Solomon couldn't find reasons, how can I? One rabbi ventured an explanation in the Midrash. Quote, Rabbi Aibru explained, "The reason may be illustrated by a parable. The son of a maid got the king's palace dirty. The king said, 'Let his mother come and clean up his filth.' In the same way, the Holy One, blessed be He, said, 'Let the red heifer come and atone for the incident of the golden calf.'" Unquote. So, the red heifer, representing the mother, atones for the sin of the golden calf, representing the son. In short, God wants our trust. God is saying essentially, if you trust me with the mishpatim, trust me also with the hukim. I know what I'm doing. Now, why didn't God give us the reason for this commandment? And all the others for that matter. The Rambam wrote, quote, "If God revealed the reasons for the commandments, they would find ways to disobey them by saying, this was prohibited or this was commanded only for such and such a reason. I can avoid the reason for the commandment, for why the commandment was given, and ignore the commandment itself. In such a way, the entire Torah could be nullified. God therefore concealed the rationale for the commandments. There is not a single commandment, however, that does not have a reason and a purpose." Unquote. A commentator added that every mitzvah is like the red heifer. We can never be sure we have all the reasons for a mitzvah. Does it mean it is forbidden to look for reasons? No. Rabbi Akiva tells us in the Talmud that it's a duty to look for reasons for the commandments. Presumably, if you satisfy yourself that you know the reason, you will be even more inclined to follow a commandment. Keep looking for reasons, but follow the commandment no matter what you conclude. Shabbat Shalom.